You're right.
Thinking what I'm going to say.
Maybe just make that the start. Just like
Yeah.
silence. You feeling alright today? You get enough sleep?
Not a lot, no.
No, that's right.
Not a
Do
lot
you need
of
some
sleep.
coffee?
Yeah. Right. Getting started. Get my brain working. Not a lot of sleep last night. Okay. Today,
You
guys.
should listen to our podcast.
Yeah, listen to podcast. Don't have children. Right. Going on with today. I hope you enjoyed our last one. Going over flexibility versus mobility. Really interesting topic to get you guys understanding that it's just as equal to your training. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and have a listen to that one. We're following off with this one today. We're going over hydration, which has a massive role in your flexibility and mobility stuff as well, and everything else that we've led into. These all sort of like rolling together. So go ahead, Ben, take it away, mate. Start it off.
Yeah, today it's not the most sexy topic like hydration, but in terms of athletic performance, in terms of mental like health and acuity, and in terms of as Tristan touched on, improving flexibility and mobility, hydration is going to be a key factor. Okay, we're in a place where I think now like it's always been known, it's like drink your water here and there, but kind of most people tend to do it when they're thirsty, which is always a bit too late. But you've always had, I guess, if you've ever played sports, it's like you're on a field, you've always got like energy drinks and stuff. And the reason they're so key is to basically get your hydration back into your body. As you do exercise, as you work out, you do sweat. Yeah, we all know it. You get like, especially after CrossFit class, you're a sweaty mess in the summer. This is basically, you need to replace the waters, the electrolytes through sodium, through little bits of sugar, to help control blood pressure and to help to regulate your body temperature. Yeah, okay, so that's why you have like a nice like Lucozade during sports. But we'll kind of go into sodium and the key point of actually having sodium in your body for hydration a little bit later. But hydration within itself, look, everyone's heard we're like 80% water. I think the stats are your body is 95%, your brain is 95% water, your blood is 82% water, and your lungs are almost 90%. So it's the most crucial element or compound or nutrient that makes up the human body. Yeah, it's key, right? You will probably always feel a difference when you're dehydrated. I know I do, like especially in skin.
Well, the good part of this is knowing if you're dehydrated. That's probably most people are, and they don't realise that they are. That's
so constant.
That's the thing. It's not a point where you're dehydrated. You think you're going to be lying on the floor and you need to call an ambulance. Like most people can walk around in a dehydrated state. You can, it can really play its toll. It can make you just feel sluggish, it can make you feel achy, it can make you feel a lot of other things. You'd be looking in other areas thinking, what's wrong with me, why is this? But it could come down to just that plain and simple, you're just not hydrating enough. So I think one good thing is, how much water should one person drink in a day? How would you measure that?
This is so great question. Like it's very like in a generalized viewpoint, I know there's loads of mixtures of views on how much you should drink. I think the one that we kind of go off is it's an American conversion, so it's 1.5 ounces per body weight in pounds. So I'll give you a reference. I'm 95 kilos, and this is a 32 ounce bottle, so basically a litre. I drink about 4 to 5 of these a day. And that's just on average. And then when you're exercising, I said, you start to, you sweat to try and keep your body temperature down. So you need to roughly be drinking, like for every hour of exercise, 1/2 to 750 milliliters of water. Yeah. Dependent on the weather conditions, how much you do sweat. Some people sweat a lot more than others. Because their body temperature has a lot more fluctuation, some people less.
Surprisingly, we find most people more dehydrated in the winter.
Yeah.
than the summer. The summer's not a problem. It's hot. You're always looking for that cool drink. That cold drink is nice. But in the winter, you can go without drinking because obviously it's cold and you don't feel like, and you need to have a drink. And that's when we see probably a little bit more on the rise of dehydrated people.
Yeah. You get kind of that winter blues, and that's potentially part of it as well. In the winter, because your body is spending so much energy to keep the body temperature up, you need fluid to help with that blood supply.
Yep.
You actually start expressing more fluid and using a lot more energy. So, but then obviously your mouth is a little bit like, you don't want to drink because it's cool air. It's not, you don't have that thirst to do it. So yeah, as you said, winter, you see like people express more, so they piss more, and they use enough water. They just don't drink enough either.
Yeah, we all do it. It's an easy habit to fall into. Exactly why we're doing this, to make you guys a bit more aware of it and think, oh, actually, how much water did I drink yesterday?
Yeah.
You can get hydrated through foods as well. That's but mainly you can't beat just
you can't just
a glass of water here and there. Not like flooding it down. And again, you've got to be careful with your consumption. Like a lot of people think, I need to get my 3 litres in a day, so they're like down 1 litre. But literally straight away, it's like a tap. It starts to go out. So it's not about how much you can get in one hit. It's about how much you can break it out over the day. I know there's even apps now that remind you, hey, have a drink of water.
You get like the little water bottles with marks on it. There's loads of neat little tricks and tips you can do to get in like your water. But trying to do it over a long day, especially when it comes to the night, if you're like, shit, I've only drunk a litre, I need to drink another 2. Yeah, you drink another 2 litres, what are you going to do? You're going to be up every hour, you're not going to sleep. So go back to our sleep podcast.
It really is a point of being good with your fluids, getting your hydration in through the day, and then you can slowly start to unwind off the drinking at night, because you've got your daily amount in, so you're pretty much hydrated for the next day, so you don't need to be drinking all the way up to bedtime, because it will affect. If you get up and go to the toilet, obviously that's breaking your sleep. So it's definitely something to get out of, which goes back to the sleep. Yeah,
it's definitely a balance with that. But you touched perfectly on, like, summer we tend to drink more, and seeing as like this podcast coming out and summer's, well, hopefully in the fucking UK summer's
I don't think we're getting much of it.
But eventually it will. Like,
so if in UK, if you feel like staying hydrated, just go outside and open your mouth, because the weather's fucking shit and it's just raining every day. So.
Yeah, fucking true. Eh? But it's with summer coming up, it's definitely a point of like, how to create optimal hydration throughout the summer months. Like, I'm not going to say don't drink cold water, because cold water in a hot day is unbelievable. But just to give you a basic understanding, when you put in fluids into your body, the body needs to warm the fluids up, depending on how cold the fluid is. But predominantly, if you're drinking cold water, it needs to warm the water up to body temperature to be able to create the absorption that it requires. Okay, so in summer, the first thing you go to is a cold beverage. Yeah, it tastes amazing. However, you like drink loads of cold water and you're like, wait, I'm not feeling any better.
Your body's now trying to regulate that water in the stomach and warm it up.
Yeah, and so you're spending a lot more energy and not absorbing it as quickly. So like with summer and all months, like room temperature water is what's going to hydrate you the most. I'm not saying drink that 24/7, because if you like cold water, but just understand that when it comes to, if you really need to get hydration in, and you're in a gym and you've just done like a really long sweaty workout and you're like, I'm feeling
that horrible warm bottle that's been in there will hydrate you quicker.
That's the bad thing about it. It's like that tastes like terrible, but it actually hydrates you quicker. So just something to think about as we hopefully get into warmer months and you start like sweating a lot more and requiring a lot more hydration. Just to kind of, we'll loop back onto that stuff, but to talk about the actual benefit of hydration throughout the body, as we've touched on quite a bit already, it's like body temperature regulation. Yeah, so like you want to have a night, and this is through blood pressure, this is through the transportation of blood around the body to manage the internal, external body temperature.
Just like your car.
Exactly. Just like your car.
Just like your car.
This works perfectly the same.
So, we all know that once your car is running low on water, it starts to overheat and not run very well. You top it up. obviously you don't have to top it up every day, but we need to be topped up every day. Look at your body is like a very similar to car with the roles of fluids and nutrition and stuff like that. Water is your key. Like I know if you was to be stranded on a desert island, which I'm sure many of us won't, but I know that one thing is I can't remember how you can go without food for quite a long time.
You can go without, I think it's 3 months without food, 3 days without water, 3 minutes without oxygen.
Yeah, so that's how important
Wouldn't
water really is when you look at it. A drastic case like that, which I'm hoping none of you have to go through.
No, we
but
never.
that look at it like that. You need that fluid in every day. It's really, really important, and especially if you're in a high activity, when you are sweating a little bit more than the average person and stuff. Like we know in CrossFit, we get into sweaty messes heavily. Quite a lot, and then I'm sure I remember like when I was doing my MMA training and wrestling and stuff like that. I'm sure if you've had that sweaty mess, you felt that sweat go in your eyes, and it's almost like stinging. That's your salt. That's your sodium pouring out, man. That's it. Or if you've ever been, I don't know, one of them people where you've licked your own salt and gone, that's very, very salty. That's the important role of sodium, and sodium is an electrolyte that helps keeps everything regulated.
Well, it's a key mineral within the body. It helps nerves. If you have correct levels of sodium, and for athletic performance, like if you've ever had cramp, like how bad cramp is, and that basically is potentially down to a lot of by part down to not having enough sodium in the body, because you need that to create the muscle contractions.
Yeah.
And as I said, that's why I go back to the sports performance, or when you're a kid and your mum or dad brought a little energy drink to a football game, and half time you'd be drinking it. It's basically just salt and water with a little bit of sugar. Like you can make it in your own home with water, concentrated orange juice, and a little bit of salt, and that's basically your own energy drink.
I still do this to this day. One way I set my day up for hydration and for my stomach is. First thing in the morning, when I get up, I've obviously gone downstairs, I have a bottle of water.
Taking your bowel movement.
Yep. Yeah, that comes a little bit later. Caffeine does that one.
Okay, yeah.
Nah, but it's got a bottle of water. I have a bottle of water out on the surface that's room temperature, so I don't keep it in the fridge. So I have a glass of that, which is room temperature, half a squeeze lemon, and I'd say a little teaspoon, a half a teaspoon
of
strong
pinch
pink Himalayan salt, and that's a great way of just getting your first dose. Because you've got to remember, if you've had your good sleep, you've got your 7-8 hours. That's 7-8 hours without any hydration. So you may wake up and now you need to start the hydration process. That's a great way of starting it. It's really, really good, and I do that every morning.
Yeah, that helps to, as you said, you've had a 7 to 8 hour hiatus. And it's like I'll use the car analogy, because humans are basically machines. We're cars, right? That is you. And think about when in winter you go out and you have to warm your car. You've just done that. Every morning you have water, salt, and lemon. You've basically just started your metabolic system. You've basically just started your digestive process rolling. You're getting it fired up. And then when it comes to eating, you're going to digest better. And this goes back to the nutrition podcast we've done. You're going to absorb better, so on and so forth. So they all tie into each other in a nice cyclical manner.
Yeah.
Perfect thing. Glass of water, little bit lemon, nice pinch of Himalayan salt. It's actually quite nice.
It's a nice drink I'm used to it. It's very easy to drink, and it's a great way of starting that hydration process in the morning. You get going. Better than that than hitting a coffee straight away.
Yeah.
So it's get that in, and it starts your day off right, and then you can continue the hydration process through that with like you say, carrying a flask around with you with your water, so you can see your how much you're going through a day. Or when I'm training, I normally fill this up a couple of times, and and then we could talk about other things down the line. Essential amino acid drinks, which have normally got electrolytes in it, which are very good. So I like them because one, they taste good. You're getting your essential amino acids and you're getting your electrolytes in prior to training, while training, and after training.
Yeah.
It's a drink that you can drink throughout the day. But we'll touch on that once we get into our supplement series further down the line, where we will be doing podcasts on specific supplements, breaking them down, the theories behind them, and how good they are.
Or how good they're not.
CBD
oil.
God, yeah.
Sorry, I thought I'd get that in there.
Fire that in.
Yeah, of course. No, yeah, and on that point is there is like we touched on with the food. If you've listened to it, there is what's called bioavailability, just a long confusing word. Basically, you're going to get the most bang for your buck out of water. Yeah, as I said, the body has to warm it up, then it can absorb it. If you have something like orange juice, Coke, or anything, there is, and coffee, there is water content in there. I'm not discrediting
and like food as well. So like watermelon, stuff like that. There are lots of food, some vegetables that you are going to be able to get water through as well. Yeah. But sometimes it's still just not enough.
Yeah. So you're going to get the most bang for your buck out of just, plain water. Yeah, say plain, it doesn't sound that exciting.
Plain and simple. So.
And on that, as well as away from the performance side, like we spoke about sleep, hydration is huge in terms of sleep quality. As we said, massive thing about sleep is body regulation, body temperature regulation throughout the night. You need to be able to adjust your body temperature into internally colder to help initiate sleep, and keep it that way throughout the night to be able to stay asleep. It's why you probably when you're ill, you've gone on holiday to a different country, you wake up with in hot sweats in the middle of the night. Mm-hmm. Your body's not being able to regulate your temperature well enough.
Yeah.
And that's where you wake up. You never wake up freezing cold, because you want to be in a more cold state.
And then and if you do phone a doctor, what do they normally tell you? Go get some Diarrhea.
Yeah.
Because it's full of salts and electrolytes.
It's basically just salts and electrolytes.
You normally see that, especially if you've got a sick bug. You normally dehydrating straight away with all the vomiting you're doing, and you then can start to experience maybe some stomach cramps or muscle cramps around, and that's because everything's coming out. So getting a diuretic helps put that back in.
Yeah,
it's even good for some sports. You can, if you've really put out, and I know some runners will do it and stuff like that with big long marathons and have a diuretic along the way. Yeah. Again, that's the important part of that sodium and the water. So it's a lot of people will go, oh, I don't have any salt, and you should have a bit of salt on your food. Doesn't need to be a massive amount. Pink salt is good. It's got a lot more
nutrients,
minerals and nutrients than your normal salt. But a little bit here is fine for you. It keeps that balance of electrolytes in there with your hydration.
Yeah, I think that's another kind of old school myth that has been starting to change over the years, is that whole you eat too much salt, it's going to clog your arteries and it's going to have a detrimental effect. Salt is huge in water, as we know. Water is what we're basically made out of. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in a simple term, we're 95%, 90% water. Mm-hmm. So making sure you're getting enough to affect sleep quality, your mood, your athletic performance, will just be massively key. There is obviously a couple of ways that you can tell if you're dehydrated. Obviously, a lot of it's feeling if you start to get notice enough. I know skin. Your skin is the biggest organ on your body.
It's biggest organ on your body,
and that is a perfect teller of basically if you sweat. If you're all sweaty, you've expressed water. Yeah. But then also, if your skin gets really dry, you're dehydrated.
You're dehydrated, and you lack of some vitamins and stuff. But the biggest one, I think most people would be easily to check. Well, it's for men, apart from women. We can look at it as it happens.
Yeah. So if you're standing up or sitting down, you've got to take every opportunity to sit down, dude.
Yeah. Is your urine? Yeah. So for men, we can see it as it happens. Ladies, you're going to have to stand up and have a look down the toilet. But your colour of your urine is a prime example of how well hydrated you are. So the clearer it is, the more hydrated you are, and the darker it gets, the more basically dehydrated you are. So if you're peeing like Coke,
you'd probably go to the hospital.
I'd probably say that's a really, really bad looking colour, and you need to go and get some medical advice. I'd say
straight away.
Yeah,
I think that's I think like
that's like the extreme case of it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're
normally if it's like really darky yellow and strong smelling as well.
Yeah.
Then you know you're pretty dehydrated.
Or you've had asparagus.
Yeah, or you've had asparagus.
But yeah, if it is like black and like Coke, then there's, I believe it's something to do with kidneys. But yeah, just go see someone straight away. Like 999. Straight away. No, there is like levels, and we'll give you kind of, hopefully don't ruin a certain couple of drinks for you. If it is clear on that side, like completely clear, it's probably a point that you've overhydrated a little bit, and you'll find that you'll be going to the toilet quite quick, quite repetitively.
Yeah, and then you find you are peeing out too much goodness. You can
basically just going straight through.
And that's where we go, overconsumption of water, drinking way too much water. So yeah, that's a good thing to bring up actually. You can, again, it's another thing with everything.
You can overdo
everything can be healthy to a certain value, but as soon as you're doing too much of it, even though it's a good thing, it can then become an unhealthy matter again.
Yeah, I think I remember reading a bit of a sad note like 5-6 years ago in the London Marathon. The guy unfortunately passed away. And he was like a fitness expert, and basically he overhydrated. He like completely flushed out of his system.
Well, you can drown yourself.
Yeah, basically, he completely flushed out his sodium levels. Completely basically just overconsumed because it was a really hot marathon, and he was basically just drinking at every opportunity. And yeah, as you said, you can overconsume,
which brings and. To you can look at it, if you look at bodybuilders and professional fighters.
Yeah,
that's one thing they actually do.
Yeah,
they actually dehydrate themselves to
cut weight.
For a bodybuilder, it's just to have that grainy look and looking tight.
That's cool.
For a fighter, it's actually to
dick skin.
Yeah, thick skin. Yeah.
Hey, check it. Look it out. Actually, no, I wouldn't say. Don't Google that.
You'll get your laptops and computers actually contaminated with viruses if you type that in, so don't do that. But it's basically very, very thin skin, very, very grainy, and fighters do it. They don't do it to actually look good, even though that is the appearance that will come out of it. They actually do it because they need to cut weight. And with a fighter's mentality is like, say you've got a welterweight fighter, they're not naturally a welterweight fighter. They're probably walking around more of a middleweight.
So in terms of kgs, how heavy would a welterweight and a middleweight be?
Oh, do you know what? Let me just... So if I go... I know boxing weights and MMA weights are different. So if I looked at welterweight from when I fought, I had to be, I think, 77...
There you go, welterweight
77 kilos?
71 to 77.
Yeah, so 77 at the top scale. So, but I would be walking around... At that time when I was training MMA, I was probably around 86, 87 kilos.
Oh, so you had you're cutting a good almost 10 kilos.
You're cutting a good, and that's quite a big amount. And that came down to a point of really. And again, there's so many different ways around this, and it's not something that I would look at. It's a very short, quick way of doing it. It's not sustainable. No. It's not healthy. And you think, how the hell can they do that? And then they have to go on and do that fight, because the process after is the most important part, getting all those electrolytes in. And literally, they can be a lot heavier. I don't know if you look at Conor McGregor. McGregor is a prime example. That's when you see him doing the live weigh-ins on stage. And they do that. They're just so grainy, so drawn in. You can see the cheekbones coming in. And then by fight night, or the post... press conference after, they look like a completely different person. It's like, wow, how much? And that goes down to water cutting. That goes down to they'd be in saunas, wearing sweatsuits, hot baths, literally pushing and all the salt and water out. And then it's very important that they've got a good team around. That I know a lot of fighters. I don't know if it's still legal now. Would get on the IVs, because it's the quickest way to get it all back in. And then with bodybuilders, it's just a point of obviously bringing that water retention down with your diet. Obviously, different bodybuilders do it different ways, but it's mainly just bringing down. And then they would use, I know when I'd done my show, it was all about 2 days before, I would use that process of over drinking. So I'd be drinking 10 litres over a day, and then the next day you'd bring it down, and then the next day it comes down to literally hardly anything. And basically what you've done then, you've just it's like a diuretic. Then you basically just flushed all the water out.
Got your body into a position.
And
where
then
it's
I know
just
some
pissing
bodybuilders
constantly.
will go the extra mile and they'll use a diuretic for that last bit, which is very, very dangerous because then you are really putting an immense amount of stress on the heart and your organs.
Kidneys.
Yeah.
So I think the key thing you said, like within that, is when they go into huge weight cutting, like bodybuilders, it's not sustainable.
It's not.
Because
Of
there
course
is
it's not
health
sustainable.
implications, right?
Massive health. Yeah, your fucking organs are screaming help. You know, you're looking fantastic on the outside, but on the inside, you're pretty much very, very in a bad way.
And that's why I think, you're always going to have that little pocket of, unless, like, as we spoke about, you're genetically quite a lean individual, but you're always going to potentially hold a little bit. It's not potentially fat. It could just be water.
Yes. Well, we all know that different people, hold. So if we look at the different genetic types of people, some people do hold more water than others. If we look at women when they have their monthly cycles, they can start to hold a little bit more water weight. Some may not, some may do it. So it just shows how everyone can be quite different when it comes down to holding water. Because but we all need to do the same thing. We all need to stay hydrated and consume, keep us going. Remember, it's down to that car. Again, your car's going to break down if you don't stay hydrated. So it's not a point that, this person cannot do it and this person. We all have to do it. But it comes down to understanding your body. And obviously I've touched with bodybuilding and fighting. The extreme cases of doing it, I don't, it's a professional sport. It's a professional setting. These people know what they're doing.
Have people there.
And they will have health markers and checkers around to make sure that they are okay on the inside. And only do we rarely see the drastic case of it do going wrong. And we do see it. Some fighters in some really bad. I've seen them like literally passing out, weighing in.
You've definitely seen. Like,
and that's a drastic case, and that just shows you how drastic it is, and actually shows you how risky it is.
Definitely times
when you start playing around with your salts and dehydration levels. So
you see people step into the UFC octagon like they're just, and their body might be there, but their mind just, you can tell they're just glazed because they don't have that.
They're empty. They're pretty much starved. They're dehydrated. And they don't know what's going on.
They've probably not slept. They probably slept like shit because, as we spoke about, hydration and
it's just
sleep quality and cognitive, awareness. So, I think that's the key thing. Is like not like when you look at dieting and stuff, not measuring yourself to these people that are professionals. Because bodybuilding is like such a they will, like, if you look at them all year round comparatively to when they're on stage, is completely different, and that's A, because of dieting, but B, because of the water cut.
Yeah.
The massive dehydration state that they're putting themselves into to really suck in the skin to the muscles to over-exaggerate them.
And then you're going to see, and this is the big thing as well, like especially with bodybuilding, you'll see some people just stay lean all year round, and it's like their genetics are like that. So I know you've got the ectomorph,
endomorph,
and mesomorph as like the three statures. I'll bring that up so you can see what I'm talking about. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening, then get out and have a look at we normally fall into one of these categories.
Ecto's like tall and slim, endo's like more round and plump, and meso is like small hips, wide shoulders. It's like your ideal bodybuilder.
Yeah, and then obviously with the ecto, you're going to see they stay very lean all year round. So they'll still got to stay hydrated, but you won't see as much water on the outside. You pulled it up?
Yeah, I was right. Just that's my
so I think
older.
I fit in the middle for me.
I'm more endo.
So I can hold water really easy.
Yeah. It's
but it just shows the different types. But all three still need to have equally the same amount of water going in, but it will look different. So it's very important. Again, constantly keep that consume.
And if you do more exercise, consume more.
Consume more. If you're sweating more, drink it, get it in straight away. It's simple as that.
I think there's a couple of like reasons or ways that, as we said, we touched on. There's apps that remind you, having a water bottle right next to you, like drinking first thing in the morning. Like just a couple of things to take into regard and like hopefully take away from this podcast is like, if you're thirsty, like I used to be a kid that like I'd only drink whenever I got thirsty, and I never used to drink much water because I wasn't that thirsty. If you're thirsty, it's probably too late. Just yeah, be mindful that, okay, you probably haven't drunk water for quite a while.
Yeah, I've been really bad with it. I can really go drastic and think, oh, when was the last time I had a glass of water? And it could be like the morning. It's like 7 o'clock at night. I'm like, wow, like I can go, but then you'll feel that the next day.
You know, and in sleep quality, as we said, in sleep quality and in performance.
Yeah.
The other thing, like we touched on, sip. Don't like to start chugging water.
Again, because the more you try and flush through at one point, you're just going to go to the toilet loads of times, and again, then you can start to flush out all the electrolytes and liquids. So you can just overdo it. So it
just doesn't give it time to warm it up, absorb it, and then as you said, like room temperature water is going to be the most bang for your buck, like over anything if you are dehydrated. But that doesn't discredit just drink stuff throughout the day, as long as you're drinking like something that will have a potential water content. Just understand that water is going to be your the peak of the pyramid, the best thing to drink. And one thing we didn't touch on, just to finish on this note, as you spoke about, if you are severely dehydrated, you're going to have trouble with bowel movements.
Yeah, the poo-poo ain't going to come out.
Yeah. You sound like your kid saying that, but it's true. It's absorbing all that nutrients from it, and like you're basically just straining it as much as possible.
And you know,
take all the liquid out.
It's funny that you say that, like, because with my young boy, like, you know, I have to constantly get them to drink. Because he can go through a whole day playing they're not into a routine, and obviously they don't know it. But you, like with him, I have to constantly go, right, have a drink, because you can see that come out with, you know, a bit of constipation. Yeah, he gets on the toilet. Oh God! It's like you should have drunk your water. But so that's an interesting point to kind of finish it on potentially. I know,
but no, it's
important. It is important, and you know, I'm not going to go on about hydration forever and ever and ever.
Just want to highlight
it and the importance of it, and obviously the drastic cases of it and the not so drastic. But just keep that water in. If you're definitely looking to perform better, which is what all these podcasts are doing, is to help you get better performance, better.
Health markers,
and just, you know, get through life that bit more healthier. This is what it's all about, and hydration fits in there exactly with everything else. So if you are new to this and you're catching us now, go back through the list of some of the other stuff there. They all roll into basically what we're doing. These all roll in together, don't they?
They link.
If you have got the time and you can go through all these podcasts, you're going to find a lot of good points to take out to make you better. Yeah, crossovers to help get you better at what you're doing and being healthy.
As we said, just want to help with performance, just want to help you get fitter and live a more fulfilled life through small, like, ultimately this is not like, we're not telling you to like run a marathon every day. It's a small life implication to make. But it makes a drastic change.
It does. So like simple things when we go back to the nutrition one, like for me, chewing my food. It doesn't sound like much, but it makes a big difference. Like how I feel after, because I'm a fast eater, so I have a habit. I find it really hard to slow myself down. And then obviously, again, going back to the nutrition one, separate your water intake from your meal intake.
Yeah, as we said, you're going to get water from nutrition, but it's that compounding. It's just the constant compounding of a routine that. All right, it might look, you think about it now and you look at a couple of days and it's like, it doesn't have a big difference. Think 20 years down the line. I think people, what's the old thing? People underestimate what they can do in 5 and overestimate what they can do in 1 year. It's like, everyone says 5 years, look at 20 years, look at 40 years.
Look at the long road.
Like this small implication, like added in, like just building a habit of drinking more fluid day in, day out.
Yeah. Definitely.
You're going to have huge life implications down the road. And then ultimately, you're going to create a change within your inner circle. If people see you're drinking more water and you're staying more hydrated, then you are a product of your environment. So everyone in that environment is going to make that change. Mm-hmm. It's same with nutrition, same with exercise. If people are watching you do it and see you do it day in, day out as a routinely thing, then I'm like, shit, I want a bit of that.
Yeah.
Make sure, as I said, 1.5 ounces or half your body weight in pounds in ounces. So it's really fucking confusing. It's an American conversion. We'll create the English conversion and we'll put that up. So don't worry about that.
Yeah.
And then when you sweat more, drink more.
Yeah.
Simple
As that.
And
So
yeah.
we if you want to keep an eye on stuff, we will be using our Instagram account to be throwing up most of these tips and stuff for you to go to and have a look at.
And little snippets of Trish like talking about poo.
Yeah,
And being stuck on the toilet constantly.
But yeah, that's hydration for today. What we've got coming up next, Ben?
We're going to talk about. We've had a really interesting guest on. We're going to talk about aerobic work. Like, it's pretty damn boring, right? However, just like the hydration, it is so fucking crucial.
Oh yeah, and this can pull back into previous episodes. Like, how do you use aerobic work for fat burning? You know, how do you use how do you use aerobic work for sustainability, keeping a base level of fitness while you're going through strength training, while you are trying to now ramp it up into high level fitness training. It's there throughout everything, and I think, and cardiovascular health, keeping that ticker happy.
And that's not the 1 year, 5 year. That's the 20 years.
That's the 20
cardiovascular.
year, you know. So we're going to go over that on the next one.
And then into a nice little series of supplementation.
We're going to bring in our supplement series, so look out for that. I think the first one we're going to go over is obviously the number one supplement I think's been tested more than anything. We've got the most research behind it. It's creatine, and we'll go over a health supplement to go with that, vitamin D.
Yeah. So I know everyone talks about supplements. What supplements do I need? What supplements do I need? We're going to break down some things, but that's
why we're bringing it out later, because all these other things are important before you go near supplements.
These are your hierarchy.
So you get everything else from the other episodes rolling in, and then now you can start to bring in some supplements, which I love.
Yes. Anyway, we'll leave that there. Have a good, thank you for listening. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and on our iTunes, drop us a rating, a review. It does go a super long way.
Get the word out there.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Nice one. Thank you.
Peace.